You are the temple of the soul of man, Solomon. Solomon. You are the temple of Solomon. The Bible is all symbolic of raising the Christ oil that is inside your body. These oils start in the claustrum in your brain, which is heaven, and they go through the pineal and the pituitary, which is milk and honey. They go down the nerves of the spine, which is an extension of your brain. The two nerves are the Ida and the Pingala, and masculine, feminine, milk and honey, Adam and Eve. They go down your spine. The claustrum is Santa Claus. You see, Santa brings gifts down the spine or down the chimney. And we receive these gifts. The gift is the actual fluid of the body, which resonates from the heart when you are in a state that is not lust or craving. When you're in a state of love, peace, that is your harmonic resonance that preserves these oils. If these oils move down into the sacrum and they are not preserved and released in sexual intercourse, in ejaculation, the man loses the chrism. It dies at the crossing, dies on the cross. That's what this teaching is about. The River Jordan, you can see, they have marked these places. It begs the question, was this a giant? Was this the body of a giant? Because you can see that all of these places have the same markings or structure, biology, as the human body. Golgotha is the place of the skull, literally the place of the skull. And Sodom represents the lower reproductive center. So ask yourself, how was the Christ or the Lord crucified in both Golgotha, the place of the skull, and also in Sodom? How is that possible? The Bible says this in Revelations, but it also says that Sodom and Egypt being crucified is figurative. It's meant to be taken figuratively. So they didn't mean that it was a place on a map. They were talking about it's out of context. They're saying this is something happening inside of you. It's figurative also, in that we have to understand raising chrism is about something we can't see with our eyes. We don't have the eyes to see. That's why Yeshua speaks in parables. He says, they can't see what I'm talking about, what I'm trying to tell them. That's why I'm speaking in parables. I'm trying to explain something they cannot see. So when the moon is in your sun sign, that's when these oils are released. They circulate through your spinal column, and you must preserve these oils. Why? Because when you preserve the oils, it becomes your land of milk and honey, or your manna from heaven. You preserve the oils so that you have sustenance. This is what fuels your body and raises your consciousness. When we say raise consciousness, what are we talking about? What we're talking about is your expanded consciousness. It's not higher or lower. It's an expanded consciousness and awareness to where you're no longer allowing your reptilian brain function, your lower animal nature, to control you. That's the entire point of these teachings. It's not as complicated as many people make this out to be. You don't have to know anatomy. All you have to understand is that being in a state of peace and what we call harmonic resonance, where everything works in harmony and is not interfered with by the reptilian brain, which now your reptilian brain is constantly trying to control everything to keep the body alive and keep the identity important. It wants to be important. It wants to be special. And it has its function. It has its place, but it cannot rule you because you are a human being. You have a more expanded consciousness. You have higher abilities to think and reason. So you don't have to be controlled by your animal nature. That's the whole point. When you practice preserving these oils in your body, you are raising Chrism. That was the meaning of raising Christ. And that was the meaning of being holy, a holy person who refrains from intercourse or orgasm, because when you release the Chrism, it dies on the cross. You have fallen. You're in a fallen state. So you're no longer holy because you've lost that Chrism. Raising the Chrism allows you to activate your abilities. You have higher abilities. You have higher senses that we do not use because we're kept in this matrix of a false reality where we are very much attuned to a lower frequency that has to do with the material plane, everything that's solid, everything that is our lower animal nature. And the people who control the world have to keep you in that state or they cannot control you. If you had control of yourself, you would not, no one can be able to control you. Do you understand this? So it's all about control. Everybody asks, why would they lie? How would everybody lie about this for, in the church, in government, in corporations? Because it's all controlled from the top down. It is a pyramid. Controlled. Everything you learn in school, controlled by a certain group of people. They do not teach you this. These things were kept secret from you. And you may say, this is satanic, whatever. No. What is satanic is allowing your animal nature to rule you. That's the meaning of Satan. It's the opposer. It means opposer. It's the opposer to your higher consciousness. It's your animal nature. And Lucifer is your ego. It's the light bearer. It's also the sun, the visible light spectrum. Some people may disagree with that, but that's how I see it according to my research. And so the Christ would be complete balance between all things and raising your consciousness to the Father in heaven. The Father is the greater consciousness field. Appa, apple. Torus field is an apple shape, right? The Father comes from that teaching. It's all the same thing. This requires you to be self-disciplined. So many people get angry when I talk about these things because they don't want to give up their alcohol. They don't want to stop eating 3 meals a day. They're afraid. And not only that, they want to indulge in their animal nature. So they're like, well, God said we can have sex if we're married. Well, the God of this world is not the highest consciousness, the omnipresent mind. It is not your highest nature. It is your lower nature. The God of this world controls the animal kingdom and the material realm. And that God is speaking through the Bible until you get to different sections where people are actually, from scriptures that were taken from all over the world, they're talking about something different than the God that is mentioned in the Bible in the Old Testament. This is all trickery that, the church took what they wanted from these ancient texts and teachings of wisdom, and they used it to serve their own agenda. Usually the truth is going to be the one thing or the many things that were hidden from you. If government isn't talking about this, church isn't talking about this, but yet they hide it in symbolism, corporations hide it in symbolism, then maybe they're the ones that are lying to you.